Okay, from the base, and it's a continuation of yesterday's subject, which was Ulam Rabbi Lazar. It came in, the person, Ulam Rabbi Lazar, came in because we're talking about by Mazikin that Bailam Mataplim Ben Avela, that the Mazik only has to pay the difference between the object that he damaged, and broken pieces. He doesn't have to pay the whole new thing, and he keeps the pieces, but rather he could tell the nizik to keep the pieces. It's going to be the carcass, whatever it is, and he has to pay the difference. And then the question was about the ganav and the gazlan. If someone stole or whatever stole, gneva gzela, if it was for Hetzir or not. But in either way, Shmuel said that over there you don't have this kula of shaman, and over there the ganav has to pay the whole thing. Tosis explains because when he stole it, so he was kohen, and therefore he really owns the whole thing. Afterwards, if it got broken, that's his business. And the older Rebbe Lazar argued and said, "Shamal the ganav the gazlan also. That even the ganav gazlan only has to pay the difference between the whole object and the broken object, and he can give back the pieces to the nignav." Because of that, over there we don't pass like Ulam Rebbe Lazar, we pass like Shmuel, Shamal the ganav and the gazlan. But because of this, we come to six other mamorim, the statements of Ulam Rebbe Lazar. We did already 5 of them. Up to the last one, and we're up to Yudal from the base. Well, about 10 lines or so from the bottom. So this whole subject is about an Eved Kanani, which we don't have nowadays. It's we're supposed to have, and if there'll be goyim that will halachically, you could have an Eved Kanani nowadays. It's brought down the Shulchan Aruch, the halachas of avodim. It isn't so practical. Maybe it's not by the law of the lands, but it would be possible today to have an Eved. He's Toval and Mal and Toval Hashem Avdus. So but practically we don't have them. But no. What would be the halacha about shibud? Somebody borrowed money, and his karka is meshubed. All of his real estate, what we call real estate, becomes meshubed, and even if he sells it or he dies, the creditor could collect from the land. If only metaltalin, so only collect metaltalin from the debtor himself, from the lover himself. But if he died, he can't collect from the yisomim, and if he sold it, he can't collect from the buyer. And the question is, what then does Avodim have? So they have Kanani. Someone had a Kanani, and he borrowed money, and now he died. Can the Malva, the Balchov, could he come and collect from the yisomim, and the Chor also from the Kuchos? Said that the Lova had sold the Eved Kanani. There's evidence of Karka that the Malva is still allowed to go and collect from the Yisomim or from the Kuchos, or he not, because it's considered metaltalin. So Ulam Rabbi Lazar said, Hilchos HaGoven Ben Avadim, that you could collect from the Eved. Eved is considered Karka, and therefore, if the Lova had Karka when he borrowed the money, and then he subsequently died or he sold it, the Malva is allowed to come to collect the Eved because it's considered Karka. Amle Rav Nachman Ula, so Rav Nachman was upset about what he heard, and he said to Ula, who was the one who said in the name of Rabbi Lazar? So Rav Nachman asked Ula, Rabbi Lazar, please. Yeah.
So it has to be because of this.
No, so we'll just then move it over. No, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Just in the way. Okay.
Thank you.
So Ula Rabbi Lazar said that he didn't say it was worse, but he said you could collect the chov from the avodim even if it was lachora. It means even if he died, you collect from the yisomim. Even if he sold it, you could collect from the lakuchos. And Rav Nachman was surprised. I'm like, Rav Nachman Lula, Rabbi Lazar. I feel me asked me, did Rabbi Lazar? You quoting Rabbi Lazar? Did Rabbi Lazar say that even if the man died, even if the lova died, then now the yisomim, the yorshim, they inherited the eved? Do you mean to say that you could collect from the yisomim? So Rabbi Ula said, I didn't mean that. What does it say over there? Lo. He said, no, I didn't know. Only from him. Only as long as he's alive. As long as he's alive, you can collect from his avodim. Once he dies, you can't collect. You cannot collect. Not much opposite of what we thought he meant to say. So it doesn't make sense. I mean, hey, from him, you could collect anything, even the tattling, even from the shirt on his back. Lima is the shirt, al kaspe on the shoulders, what we call the shirt on the back, that the lobe himself has to give everything he has. So that's not a chiddush to say that you collect from an eved. If it means you collect from the yisomim, that means that the karka. Is that a big chiddush? But if you say that he only could collect from the lobe himself, that's not a chiddush. Even if it's metalplim, you're allowed to collect from the lobe. So Ula explained that the chiddush is that he made it into an apoteki, and then he sold it. What does apoteki mean? Jerry once told us that apoteki is also an English word, apatha something. But as far as there's like a drash on the words apotekoi, that shibud should be following this particular thing. Usually, when someone borrows money, so everything is meshubit, everything, land, all the real estate is meshubit. There's something called an apoteki that he says, I want the shibud to be following this thing. Means the Malva says that if you don't pay me back my loan, so I'm going to collect this. He points to something, apo, on this thing, po. Po means here. Po that I want the shiba to be on this thing. If you're not going to pay back, I'm going to collect this. So if he made the eved into an apoteki and then he sold it, so then Rabbi is saying more b'chiddush. I said minei. You're right. Minei is not really a chiddush. Like he seems to be backing off. Minei from the person himself, from the lobe himself, if he's alive, there's no chiddush that you can collect from it. That's not a chiddush. The chiddush is that he sold it. I don't think this will make a difference if he died, but if he what was that? That it what?
What about Yisomim?
Yes, I think not. As far as Gemara is going to say, I think it will make sense by Lekuchos, only by selling it. That's what the Gemara is going to say now. I think it only applies to Lekuchos. Yeah, not from the Yisomim. Yisomim we cannot. But if it was an apoteki, you could collect from the Lekuchos. Again, someone had an eved, he borrowed money, but when he borrowed it, they made this, the Malva said, if you don't pay, I'm going to collect the eved. And then he sold the eved. Right, the eved is the apoteki. The Malva says, if you don't pay the chov, the eved is going to be the payment. I'm going to collect the eved. They agreed upon that. And then he sold the eved. So that, Rabbi Lazar said that he could collect from the eved. He can go to the eved. If it would not have been an apoteki, he cannot collect because it's not considered mekaka. But if it's made in apoteki, then you could. And what's the difference? Rabbi said that if someone made his ever to be an apoteki and he sold it, the Malvik could collect from him. But Shora apoteki, but he made an ox to be an apoteki. A Shora is like a regular nisim taltalin, and an ox not an eved. And he said that if you're not going to pay me back, the Shora should be the. But then he sold it. So the Bachov cannot collect from that. What's the difference? Both of them are Mutatalim, let's say. Let's say we're going now that Eved is instead of Mutatalim. So the Shor is Mutatalim, Eved is Mutatalim. How come the Apoteki of a Shor does not allow the Bachov to collect and the Apoteki and Eved does allow him? My time, when someone makes an Eved to be an Apoteki, everyone knows about it. They know that the Eved is earmarked, that if he doesn't pay the Chov, so then the Eved is going to be taken by the Malva. The Shor doesn't have such a.
So a mark is like collateral?
It's also, it's like.
He doesn't give it. He doesn't give it to him. He doesn't have to give it to him.
Right, he just says, I'm
It's a
making
a specific kind of guarantee.
Yes, he says that this is what you're going to collect from. It could be that usually the loba has the, let's say he didn't sell it. So usually the loba can pay whatever he wants to.
Right.
But if the malba said, I want to collect from this, if you don't pay my chov, I'm
Maybe
collecting
was
from
it
this.
called escrow? Is it like
Lien.
escrow?
I'd say it's a lien. It's a lien, right?
So usually by metaltalin, as long as like I said before, if the loba is the one who's has his property, has his estate, so then everything is a lien, everything has to be paid. But if he sold it, then nothing, then no metaltalin is going to be not the lien. The lien doesn't follow up if he sold it. But apoteki here says that Eved does. I think as long as he didn't sell it, so then maybe the Malva has rights to get that thing, even though and the Loba can't say, I'm going to give you something else. We made up that if you don't pay, this is what I'm going to collect. But now he sold it. So does the lien continue on to the buyer? So it says by an Eved, yes, by other metaltalin, not even a shore, because it doesn't have coal. No one knows about it. So it's not fair to the buyer. When a buyer wants to buy a shore, he doesn't know if there's an apoteki. He knows it's not recorded. It's not something in the what's it called? The Department of Nisrata Chlusin or something like that. Whatever it's called. No, I got the wrong one. Whatever the registry of the Nisrata and Bekarkain. That over there, everything is as a they put a harat, something like that. They say that there's a lien on this piece of land, but on the oxen, there's no such thing as a lien. Someone wants to buy an ox, what's he going to do? and if it's going to be taken from him, right?
Like motor vehicles department.
Over there they do have on each car.
Yeah.
So nowadays, maybe the show will be different, the car. But those days there was no way to find out if the show is made in a Portuguese. So we're not going to be able to do business. People are going to want to buy an ox, and they're not going to know if this is in a Portuguese or not. Then tomorrow someone's going to come and collect it. So there it doesn't help to make an Portuguese. But by an Eved, even though it's considered metaltalin, but it doesn't have noise. The Eved talks, everyone talks. That the Eved is earmarked to become taken as a lien. So over there, even though it's considered metaltalin, if you made it into a Portuguese, you would be able to collect. I think the svara doesn't apply to Yorshim, but only applies to Lekuchos. It doesn't. The whole thing about a call, the difference if it's a call or not, only makes a difference if the buyer will be able to verify if it's there's a lien on it or not. But as far as the person dying, if we're saying now that's considered metaltalin, you wouldn't be able to collect from the assessment because there's no shibud on it. It doesn't make a difference if it was a call or not. So I think this Gemara means only if he sold it. So what happened? Ulam Abulazah said a statement, Government Avadim, which Lechora at first glance sounds like it means to say that's like Karka, and therefore you could collect from either the Yorshim or from the Lekuchos. And Rav Nachman jumped up. So Ula said, no, I didn't mean that. He just meant that it's metaltalin, but in a certain case you'll be able to collect from the Lekuchos if you made it into a Portuguese. And what's unique about it, the fact that it has a code, the fact that people hear about it, and therefore the buyer, when you want to buy an Eved, so then it's your responsibility. You want to buy an Eved, find out if it's an Portuguese or not. You'll be able to verify that. Adkan, everything sounds pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
But now comes a surprise. The boss said the Nafak, after Rav Nachman left the room. He said the truth is that Rav Nachman, that Rav Elazar really said that it's considered karka, and you could collect it even if he dies. Nothing to. I just didn't want to confront Rav Nachman. Rav Nachman was gonna jump on me, so I told us. I made up a story. I told him that Rav Elazar didn't mean that. He just meant that if you made it into a Portuguese, then and he sold it, but really it's like metaltalin. But it's not really true. Rav Elazar really holds that it's like karka, and even if he dies, the Malva could collect from the ocean. It's considered like real estate.
Means what?
You could even collect from the Yisoma. If the Lova died,
You can collect
the Eved, the subject is Eved. Today's the Eved is considered karka, and therefore, if somebody borrowed money and he had an Eved,
from the assuming.
right, not only from the Lekuchos in the case of Napotuki.
Oh, that would make it like karka.
Right.
Yeah,
So the neshama of the sugya is Eved considered karka, or is it considered metaltalin? And Rav Elazar,
Really, you could.
Rav Elazar said that Ula said that Rav Elazar said that it's karka, and Rav Nachman challenged him, and he didn't want to confront him, so he said he didn't mean that.
Yeah.
But the said that.
It's a svara if it's karka or metaltalin, or
I don't recall that in the sugya is going to say any proof. I don't know.
karka is not exerikasa. It's just something that you could always cook, right? Am I correct?
If people are so much das on it, so
it's really a shayla. I don't know why we could sing with the karka now. Are people so much das on evidence?
does it have the same thing as karka? There are going to be other nafkaminas also, and I think Tosis over here says that by other halachas we hold others like karka as far as ein nishbana halachakos. There is other places we talk about that evidence considered karka, and this sugya might be more something unique about smichas das, maybe how much people rely on it or not. So Rav Nachman is Shtamta Nula. So Rav Nachman, when he heard about it, later on he heard about it, that Ula told his surroundings that really it's even. So Rav Nachman said that Ula slipped away. Ula slipped away from me. He knew that if he's going to tell me the truth, I would have jumped on him. So he got out. He got out. Rav Nachman said that the Ula slipped away from me. Means if he would have been face to face, I would have been able to knock him down.
They're arguing, is it method like karka, or is it like it's also
Right.
Nobody's saying it's sometimes has an aspect of this.
So far, here the subject just talks about. Here just talks about if it's like karka, and just mentioned that Tosis talks about that other halachas could be everybody holds that it's like karka as far as making a shvua, that enishbon halakakos, of other was the same thing. The other halachas everybody holds that it's considered maybe karka, but also is talking about so far just about collecting a lien.
Correct.
And there might be, and right away it's going to come up another thing. Also, two sugyas Akamar talks about two aspects about Eved, if it's like karka or not. One is as far as collecting a lien, and we'll see the next one.
As far as Rav Nachman's concerned, cannot.
Right.
Okay.
He jumped up. I feel him. He asked me. She said, no. But really, that's what the Ula meant to say. And if Nachman comes out of Machlokis, that Ula Rav Elazar says Eved is like karka, and therefore you could collect from the Yisomim, because that's different, just like real estate, you could collect from the Yisomim, from the Lukuchos, so to an Eved. Rav Nachman says not. It's a city of a and you cannot.
He tripped, what is that something like?
He slipped away. He slipped away.
Oh, he slipped away, yeah.
There was a story that happened that someone borrowed money and he had an Eved, and they allowed the Malva to collect the Eved. The judges in Arda, they paskin the same as Rabbi Loza, that the Eved is considered karka and the Malva may collect. Another story of the Pumbedisa, there was also a story in Pumbedisa, same thing, that the Malva had the Lover had and the Malva, they allowed him to collect it, even though he died. And from the Yisomim, they said, yes, you could collect it because it has a din of karka. But Rav Nachman was very upset at all these psukim. It's against what he said. He said that you're not allowed to, because it has been a metaltalin. Amalu Rav Nachman, Zilo Adu, go return it. Take back, retract your psak. V'ilo, magvina l'chu lapad naich. If you're not going to, I'm going to collect your mansions. You judges, I'm going to take the money from your property. You judged wrong. And you said that Malva has a right to get the Eved. He doesn't have a right to take the Eved. He has to give it back to the Yisomim. If not, I'm going to take away your palace, your mansion, and give it to the Yisomim. They took away their Eved. Rav Nachman was very strong. He said that you're not allowed to collect from the Yisomim. That's dinner with Tantra. Amalei Rav Nachman.
Would he want to do something like that? To publicize the laws, like he's saying.
I don't know if it's publicized, he knows that that's the law, and you're doing wrong. You judges are doing wrong. So you have to pay for your mistake. You could retract, but if you don't retract, I'm going to take the money from you. We can talk about when does a judge have to pay from his own pocket if he makes a mistake. Here the Gemara sounds like you could retract the law. If you could retract, it goes back over to
they were owed money, and now they haven't.
Who was owed money? The Malva. Malva was owed money.
Whoever the announcement's talking to.
He's talking to the judges. He's talking to the judges who allowed a certain Malva to collect Nevet from the Yisomim.
Says if you don't make the guy give back the average.
Right, to the Yisomim.
And what would they collect from that?
They had left the collection. The Lova died.
That's the only thing they had?
The Lova died. He had no real estate. He only had metaltalim. He had metaltalim and
I see.
And an
really,
Eved.
according to Ula, the Yisomim are nifta.
They have nothing to pay for. They have nothing to pay from.
They have nothing to pay for.
Because they only inherited $100 million, but only in cash, and he has nobody to collect from,
I
right?
see. So in this case, if he gives back the evidence, the
Someone's lost.
so yeah, it's lost.
So you got the
You're saying
Eved's
you
payment. They said give it
Take
back.
your stock, or I'm taking it out of your
Pocket.
to give to the Yisomim.
Nice.
Okay.
Because you took away the Eved without not rightfully.
Uh,
So we have machlokes now. Machlokes about if Eved is considered karka or not, as far as collecting a shibud, collecting a lien from the Eved. Like Rabbi Nachman, Ha'ula, Ha'Rabbi Laza, everybody seems to be against you. Ula, and instead of the name Rabbi Laza, that the Eved is considered karka, and then Arda said so, and Avchan Bar Business said so. So how come you're against everybody? Ma, come on, Srile, who do you hold like? Where did you get that evidence instead of Muslim? Everybody seems to agree. A lot of nice people, they all hold that evidence like karka, and you could collect from the Yisomim. How come you're so adamant that you may not? I know a brisa. Tani Avimi said over a brisa. Avimi is an Amora, but he said over a brisa. Avimi said over a brisa. That's going to show that evidence like metaltalim. It's not like karka. It doesn't talk about taking a lien. That's the little move over here. We're not going to be talking about a lien. We're going to talk about a different halacha, like Levi Yaakov said, a different aspect that also the subject applies, and that's going to be what's called kinyan agav. So we'll be there in a minute. Prusbul chalal karka, veinu chalal avadim. Prusbul, there's also going to go from this also. This Bryce is going to say that is considered metaltalim. What does it talk about? It talks about two cases. One is a prusbul. Prusbul everybody knows by Shemitah. That at the end of Shemitah, all of the loans are nullified. We're not allowed to collect them. And Tilo made a takana that like a loophole that you should be able to if you give over your chovos to your bezdin, and then bezdin's allowed to collect for you. So you have to write a prusbul. But there's a takana that only if you write the Malva writes a prusbul, but only if the Lova owns karka. this takana that a malva could do make a principle is provided that the lova owns some karka, even a little bit. So is the evet considered karka or not? So it says here.
That's true today.
That's true today.
Who's the lofa?
You borrows the money. You lend money. You want to be able to collect your loan, and you lend money to somebody, and Shemitah is coming, and you want to be able to collect even after Shemitah. So you write a principle.
Economic law, if you have karka.
Right.
Right.
At the time of I forgot the time of the principle. Right? Time of the principle.
What?
The lender has to
At
have
the
one.
time of the borrower.
At the time of the principle.
Borrow.
Why not at the time of the law?
I don't know, but we'll leave it
I think I should just throw away all my principle.
because you have no karka.
It's not me. I think
Because they have no karka.
as far as I know, they didn't have any karka. I don't know.
Is renting good enough?
The cases.
Is renting
Somebody
considered
borrowed
karka?
$1,000.
Is
I
does he
had to prove. I had to make sure that I knew that he had right.
You don't have to prove it, maybe, but I'm not sure if you have to prove it. But he's living someplace. Either he owns the house or he's renting. I think renting is also good enough. Is that true? Anybody know?
No, but he can't draw from a rented house.
This takana.
Can
This
he?
takana. You
Sure
think the
enough.
takana is because he'd be able to collect from that, and renting wouldn't be able to.
But
Renting wouldn't be good
you
enough.
know,
Yeah. Go on, renting is good enough.
Yeah,
Renting is not good enough.
shekels a month and you
Renting is
get
not
that
good
out
enough.
of it.
What?
That's
There's
it.
no marking in the principle.
You could. I've listened saying Eitzah, that you could be making a mashu of karka. You, the lender, was interested that he should have some karka. You could make maybe that he should own a little bit of karka. It doesn't have to be a lot.
I
Give me
can
a
lock
little
my karka too, you know.
And then he has karka. But it doesn't say it doesn't say it in the first.
Before you write the
That's
principle.
not going to secure you any good. It's not going to help you much. When
No.
it comes,
No,
it's
once
going to
it-
help him when it comes to getting his money back.
No, he's not gonna collect from that land, but he's pretty good like.
I thought I was saying it doesn't have any money anyway. No,
Right.
he has
That's
money. He doesn't have
practical.
money.
No.
He doesn't have any.
That's not anything with
Actually, yes,
Shemitah. That's the problem. In the third year also, it's a problem. Then it has nothing to do with Shemitah. Okay, I don't know. I forgot the details of this halacha. Either I forgot or I never knew.
But here we're talking about that there has to be, he's saying. that
We know
can't
you
do
have
it
to have
on a
karka.
Muzak.
Avodim is not like karka. That's because the low as an evet is not enough. He has to have karka. Evet is not considered karka. So that's already. That's a Bryce that says evet is not considered karka.
That's rough.
That's not of Nachman's side. If Nachman's
No.
bringing a reason because this Bryce says that evet is not considered. He brings to another point which the Gemara is going to elaborate about. I'm a talent of nickname karka. Then nickname avodim. There's a thing called kinyan agav that when you make a kinyan on karka, you also can make automatically that you're going to also acquire without them also. If someone wants to sell you a piece of karka and also a table. So
Just put the table on the cart.
oh, that's already saying a home. You have to put it on the table. I don't know. But even if you don't put it, maybe you don't have to. That maybe it's good. The more going to talk about it. You have to have it on there. So you don't make it. You don't have to make a kinyan on the metaltalum. Usually, you want to make it to buy a table or acquire. You have to pick it up. But here you don't have to. Once you did kinyan on the cart, automatically that you can make also that the metaltalum should also be acquired automatically.
It's a lot. People buy a house with its
That's
furniture.
in, we're talking about not in,
What do you mean not in?
that it's not in the house.
Oh, even if it's not in.
But that's because he's telling metaltalum and avodim. So you can't say, since I sold you the Eved, and make an acquisition on the Eved, automatically the metaltalum will come along. You don't say that. Why? Because the Eved is considered metaltalum. So this is what Rav Nachman says, that I have a brisa. You're all saying that Eved is like karka. Here it says Eved is like metaltalum. He has 2 points. One is as far as Prisbah, one is as far as kinyan agav. That it says that Eved is not considered karka, it's considered metaltalum. It doesn't say the case we're talking about. There's a shibud, if there's a lien, and the guy doesn't say that case, but it's the same thing. Why put it all together?
It's just giving the aspect of Mutzaltzim.
Right.
So don't give me the aspect of.
So it's not karka. It's not karka. And he was talking about kinyan agav, over there it's talking about a shibud, but it's the same thing. So that was the machlokas between Ulam Abelazar and a few other people that agreed to him and Rav Nachman. The Gemara starts naming Ketanoi. The Gemara thinks that has a brisa that's going to show that there's a machlokas about it. The brisa says Machal Avodim B'Karkos. So it's talking about kinyan agav. This whole thing talking about kinyan agav. If you sell one thing, can you throw it automatically? Another thing is going to be acquired also automatically. So the main halacha we know is the middle one, just to point it out over here. I'll skip a second. Karkos and mutaltalim. This is a case of a regular case of kinyan agav. Just to notice it for a minute. We'll come back. Karkos and mutaltalim. If they karkos and mutaltalim, b'metaltalim lokana karka. If you sold him karka metaltalim, you made a kinyan on the karka, automatically you could be koned the metaltalim agav. But if you made a chazak on the metaltalim, it doesn't give the karka agav. It has to be dafka. You make a kinyan on the karka, and then the metaltalim automatically goes also. So to go back to the beginning, avadim bekarkos. We sold him two things. Eved and karka. Hifzik avadim lokana karkos, bekarkos lokana avadim. Either way, making a kinyan on one doesn't help you for the other one. Do you say anything about? Do you say anything about karka? There's no such thing as kinyan agav by karka and karka. I don't think so. Kinyan agav is only karka and metaltalim. Sarah says if you bought two things, I don't know if this is relative to. Well, do you see anything here? That you do see something that it says if you made a kinyan on the avadim, you don't automatically get the karka. This might be regardless if it's considered karka or avadim as far as kinyan agav goes. But karka lokana avadim, what does that sound like? It sounds a little bit like it's metaltalim, because I'm sorry. If it's metaltalim, then why is it not kona?
You mean avadim?
You made a kinyan on the karka. Why is the avadim not automatically included? The karka,
Because it's like karka.
Because
karka,
avadim
lokana
are moving
avadim.
around, they're not stable.
Yeah.
You made a kinyan on the karka, and you also want to sell the eved. The eved doesn't go automatically. Does it have to do with our question? That it's not. You see that it's not considered metaltalim.
You say backwards, see that it's not considered karka. You also see that it's not considered karka.
It's not considered karka.
From first, yeah, because it says avodim boy karkaris.
If you call it karka and karka, the Gemara, maybe it's not going to be called agav. Agav is going to be called metaltalim agav karka. Is there such thing karka and karka? There is such a question. What? That's later. So far as agav goes, we don't. The first thing doesn't show us anything because hechzik vodim lo kana karka. Regardless if it's like karka or metaltalim, you make it. It's not called agav over here. Even if others like karka, you can be called a karka. But how about the second case?
But if it's like avodim, then
If it's like metaltalim,
if it's like metaltalim, then it should be.
Yeah, so it's
So
not
it's
metaltalim.
metaltalim.
The second half, it's not like metaltalim.
you see that it's not like
Karkos, if you
metaltalim.
make a
Right,
chazak
you
on
see,
the
it's not
karka,
metaltalim
you
because
didn't
if
get
it was
the
metaltalim, it would. Didn't we say
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
metaltalim in it? We say it's
It's not
metaltalim.
necessarily
Metaltalim could be
like
it could be in the
karka.
agav
Right,
karka.
so-
So why doesn't it work?
Why doesn't it work?
Metaltalim, is that what we're saying?
I think the Gemara. Let's see the next one. Let's go a little further. Okay, this one we did it right. This is the easy one. Karka metaltalim. Everybody knows hifzik karka kana metaltalim lokana karka that we put in the side. Next case, avodim metaltalim.
Okay, avadim and metaltalim.
Hifzik avodim lokana metaltalim. That says like it's metaltalim.
And the opposite true.
That says like it's metaltalim, right?
Metaltalim lokana.
Metaltalim kana avodim. This it says that avodim lokana metaltalim. Why not? If it be like
Because it certainly is not like karka.
so it means it's like metaltalim. This seems to be
And in metaltalim, can you get? if
You can't
take
do
some
agav
metaltalim
metaltalim.
on metaltalim?
No, that's for sure not right.
For sure not. So, okay, so here.
So here it says
Avodim.
because the bottom was like metaltalim. Everybody was complaining.
Yeah.
That open a second. Everyone was complaining before. Because lokana avodim. That if avodim would be like metaltalim. So how come when he's kona karka, how come he cannot be kona the avodim automatically? If the avodim is like metaltalim, does that contradict? He brought it right from here. This is the what the Gemara is bringing up. This brisa holds that it's
It has an aspect not like karka, not like.
right. This is like of Nachman. This is like of Nachman's I put it in blue because it seems to be like of Nachman.
What is
That
that?
hifzik avodim
What
lokana
is that
metaltalim.
says?
Metaltalim. That karka avodim are like metaltalim. And he said that he bought a brisa. He said, "I have a brisa that says."
Against that.
He bought a brisa that
Oh.
says that you cannot be calling metaltalim with avodim. Why? That shows that avodim is like metaltalim. If it would be karka, you would be able to. This brisa says the same thing. Hifzik avodim lokana metaltalim, because avodim is considered metaltalim. So everyone's asking, but I don't know the answer right now.
It's not like karka.
Avodim is
It's not
not.
like karka. It's not talking about. He's not saying what avodim fits in metaltalim. He's saying that avodim is not karka.
He's not saying.
The main point here is avodim is not.
But when
It's neither.
he makes a,
That's different.
when he makes a hazaka on karka, lokana avad, so it can't be metaltalim either. It's not such a good thing.
That's the side. That's the
But
side.
that's not what he's focusing.
His main point, I think his main point is that avodim is here. Avodim is not karka. It's not karka. Since it's not karka, you can't collect from it. That's his main point.
Okay. So this is what the Gemara seems to want to bring. And the question that came up is that we'll put this in this in
Yeah, but that's what you're talking about without them. It's
I don't
not
know.
karka.
Okay, I don't know, but the Gemara seems to be bringing this third case over here, whatever you want to call it. The Gemara is bringing that as a proof that it's that's Rav Nachman. The same way the Bryce before said you cannot be kona them agav kark agav abadim. He also says you cannot be kona them agav abadim, and that was the proof that the shibud should not be chal on it because it's not like
Not like karka.
karka.
So this is Tom Brysa.
It says here, yeah, that's what it says. It doesn't say anything, right? And the ends up metatem lo kona avadim. That for sure, even if the avadim would be metatem, also you can't be kona metatem. It's like karka, surely not. So this was one brisa, but there was a middle of trying to say name katanoi.
Yeah.
Maybe we should just point that out. This whole thing is the middle of a name katanoi. And so far, it's only one time. The one time so far. This is one time that seems to be like Rav Nachman. But Tanya, there's another brisa that says differently. Here's the avadim, kind of the mamish opposite, and it seems to say here that avadim is like karka. That's going to be like Rabbi Loza, Ulam Rabbi Loza. That's the green. My Bava Kamma does not seem to be this machlokis. The Marsa Bavadim Kim Karkoi Dami. The second brisa seems to hold like Rabbi Loza that is like Marsa Bavadim Kim Metalton. It does say Bavadim Kim Metalton. Nissan wanted to say that doesn't mean it's not karka. Here it says it's like Metalton. So everyone was asking how come the karkos lo kon avadim. It could be that the Gemara is going to talk about it, but we'll put that in parentheses meanwhile. Maybe we'll be able to come back. It's not a parentheses that means we're not going to start, but it means it's a problem. Okay. So the more things that has a machlokis, Tanon. Amar Rav Yikov Beid Rav Ami. Yikov Rav Ami is going to reconcile the two brises. It seems to be machlokis in Mamish's case. If you make a kinyan on the avadim, does it cover the metaltal or not? Agav. So you could say the kul yam avadim kimikar koydami. Everybody, Rabbi Loza, let's say, would be able to reconcile both brises like him. That Evid is like karka. If Evid is like karka, so then the first brise is not good. How come avadim lo kana metaltal? Why not? Vadatanya lo kana. Vadatanya kana shapir. The second brise says good. It says because avadim is like karka. How come this brise holds that it's not good? After all, it's like karka. But the Tanya Lokana, the Bryce says that it cannot be kona without the magav ever. You know, karka dumi the ormit source view the loan ID that he holds that's like karka, as far as let's say a shibud, in our case, a real estate that it's considered a shibud, there's a lien on it. But as far as agav, there's another requirement, there's another condition you need in order to be able to do kinyan agav. Not any karka is good. It has to be karka which is not movable.
What's Soros?
So Ora means cities, but Suros means fortified in Yehuda. In Yehuda. What does that have to do with fortified cities in Yehuda? So he's going to bring this the source. We have this thing. Kedushin Rashi brings down that the source where you learn out that such thing as kinyan agav. How do you know that such thing exists? Kinyan agav. You make a kinyan on land, and you automatically could make a kinyan automatically also on. Where does it come from? So Gemara is going to bring a pasuk, and the pasuk is going to talk about fortified cities as being the example of the karka that was used to become other things together with it. So you need that kind of karka. You need specialized kind of karka, not any karka. Even though it's like karka, but it moves. You have to have a kind of karka that doesn't move.
Does it mean old city or not necessarily? What is fortified?
Oh, but they happen to be. It was a fortified city. That's not going to be relevant to our.
It has a wall.
I'd say it does. But that's
what makes a city fortified.
That's a question in the dictionary, but it doesn't affect Agamara because Agamara just wants there should be a city, land that doesn't move. In fact, the Pshat Pasuk over there means fortified. Then we can see how it's fortified. The Tanan lechasim.
It's not going anywhere.
It's not moving. And Evid, even though it says lach of karka, but it can move. That's not the kind of karka that you can do agav with. How do you know that? That brings the source. How you know the whole thing kinyan agav, and it's going to bring a pasuk. How do you know that? This is going to be the source to say until we get to a couple of lines down. It's going to say Orim Mitzvahs B'Yehuda. The chasim she'en lehem achrayis niktin the chasim sheish lehem achrayis b'kesef shtabach hazaka. The Mishnah says in Kedushin that metaltalim, that's called the chasim she'en lehem achrayis. Metaltalim can be acquired together with karka. That's called the chasim sheish lehem achrayis. The reason why it has why it's called that is because people rely on that for their loans and stuff. But whatever the reason it's called that, it means metaltalim are nikna together with karka. If you make a kinyan on the karka, because of shtabach hazaka, those are the three ways to make a kinyan on the karka. Either you pay money for it, even a shavapruta, and a shtar contract on the karka, or chazaka that he worked the karka, he closed the door, he locked it, he opened up the door, the gate, in a way that it shows that he's the bailam. So if you make a kinyan on the karka, automatically you can become a metaltalum also. That's not our point. We know that. We want to know how do you know that? Menani mili, and how do you know this halacha of kinyan agav? The pasuk says, "Vayitain lahem avihem matanos rab." But this whole thing is a pasuk. 2 lines of a pasuk, and we can look it on the side. Which way should I go? Yeah, okay. Divrei Yamin. Vayitain lahem avihem matanos rab was l'chesef u'lozav u'lemiglanos imar misuas b'Yehuda. It's talking about the king, and it says that their father, they had a lot of sons. The father gave to his sons many presents of silver and gold and different kind of delights, together with fortified cities in Yehuda. But the kingship, he gave to his son Yehoram because he was the firstborn. So it talks about giving presents together with fortified cities. So in the Pasuk Shat, we wouldn't notice anything. It just says that he gave them a lot of good stuff. And also, but the Gemara says, the fact that it says im, that word im, the Gemara says that that's the way that the requirement was made, that the kingdom was made. But the argument says for Yehuda that automatically gave them the kingdom also on the Kesef of Umadanos. So you see, kinyan agav. If that's the source, now the Gemara takes then a step further that it has to be similar to Orim Mitzvahs Yehuda that don't move, that don't. So Eved, even though it's considered the karka, as far as a lien, etc., but as far as kinyan agav, it has to be something which is stationary karka. So the Gemara got out of it, even though everybody could hold as far as our halacha that there is a kinyan on the karka. There's a lien on the karka, but as far as kinyan agav, one Bryce holds that it's not enough to be karka; it has to be stationary karka. And Eved is a portable, movable karka. So the Gemara says it's not a kasha against him. There's a Ika da Amri. Others quote a different version of Rafika Beidu Ravidi. Ika da Amri, Rafika Beidu Ravidi, the Kol Yam Mav Dikimatali Dami. The other way, I can reconcile both prices and say, like Rav Nachman, that Aved is considered Mataldim and there's no lien on it. And the question is, one Brisa says that if you make a kinyan on the Avadim, you are Kona. This was the Brisa before. How are you going to reconcile that with Rav Nachman? If the Eved is considered Mataldim, how could he become Mataldim with Mataldim? By the time you look on the Shapir, but one Brisa says that it doesn't work. That's good because Eved is not considered Mataldim. And how the Tanya Kana, the case that the Brisa says that it works is not talking about kinyan agav. It's talking about that metaltalim is on the Eved. Eved's holding the metaltalim. He wants to give him an Eved and a watch. And he puts the watch into the hand of the Eved and he says, I'm giving you the Eved and the watch, make a kinyan on the Eved, automatically go to the watch. Not because of agav. Because of another.
Holding it in the,
and how does that? Why does it help? And why does that help? And why does that help that it should be going to the watch?
Because he's everything that comes with him.
So why? What's that called? The Muslim called chatzah. That's called kinyan chatzah. If I put something into your chatzah, you can become a kinyan chatzah. And therefore, not doing kinyan agav. Really, he's considered metaltum. He's not considered karka. But I can make him into a chatzah. And if I have a box, let's say also that the box also can be a kinyan chatzah. My box, you put it into my box. So then I can become a kinyan chatzah also. Nothing to do with being karka.
Or the bus, not what's inside it.
No, of course, if you want to sell, you want to sell both things. You want to sell both things, so you can make a kinyan chatzah. So if it's on it, kinyan agav can work even if the tatum is not on the karka. He does say, I want to be making you both things. Make a kinyan on the karka, and agav you can become the other thing also. But he's saying now that it wouldn't work. The kinyan agav wouldn't work because the Eved is not considered karka. So, but if it's on him, so then it can work with tam kinyan chatzah. That's the second terrace. By the Tanya lo kana shapir, because the Eved is still metaltalim. By the Tanya kana b'odan olav. Only if the metaltalim is on the Eved, then it works because of chatzah. But the one's not happy. Why does it help that it's on him? Chatzah malachasi, but chatzah malachas lo kana. A portable chatzah is not enough to be kana. So that's not true. Your assumption is that a mitam kinyan chatzah, but the reason of kinyan chatzah you can be kana even if it's portable, but it's not true. The Gemara knows that fact that kinyan chatzah is only if it's not malach, it's not a walking. A going chatzah, a moving chatzah is not kona. Now you might say that it's only not good while it's moving. You might say that when it's stationary, right now it's moving.
No, well, the
Evan's sleeping.
chatzah is not.
Sell him while he's sleeping. Or Ikvan Bichlal get it.
The Gemara is going to talk about it in 1 minute. That's not going to talk about sleeping yet. But the Gemara says that even maybe right now he's stationary. Maybe there's no such halacha that he could move. The fact that he could move doesn't prevent the kinyan chatzah only if it's right now moving. And if the Eved or the car, whatever, is right now stationary, maybe there's a good kinyan. Rava, if he would be moving, it wouldn't be a good Kenyan, even though right now he's standing or sitting, right now he's stationary, it's not good enough. It has to be that's not able to move. So the kasha comes back. If I'm upset about sleeping, here doesn't talk about sleeping, it talks about standing or sitting, and it says that it's not good enough, it's still able to move. So the question comes back that your terrace is not a good terrace. You want to say that the Evet's considered metaltalin, but the reason why it's called is because Kenyan Chatzar is not true. Since the Evet could walk, so he's not a good Kenyan Chatzar, even if right now he's stationary. The answer is the Hilchas Abakafos. The halacha would be true that if he's tied up, then he's a good Kenyan Chatzar. So it doesn't say sleeping; it says tied up. Maybe sleeping is also not good enough. He's tied up. He's tied up.
Might have an elephant that can make it sick on it as long as it's not walking.
If he's tied up.
Maybe
and
put it
you-
aside.
And you.
The Eved is
Cone it,
and you
cone it anything that's on.
right. Then it is a good chaser. The Eved, you make a kinyan on the Eved, and automatically it can be kona what's on him if he's tied up, because then he's not a portable chaser. So we got out of the kasha. The kasha was that there was a steer and Bryces. We have two ways there.
So,
You want to. Whatever.
Tied up and sleep.
The one the picture that you that's Taisus. The first line of Taisus. With Tzarech Loma, just let's show the Taisus for your
Picture.
with Tzarech Loma and Amid Demar B'Yashin.
Nami Demira. Each. Let's see. They tied him up and they got him sleeping.
So Taisus means other Gemaras would say that you have to have sleeping also, maybe. Okay. So what do we do so far? We reconciled the two prices. We had Machlokas, Rabbi Lazar and Rav Nachman, if you ever consider the karka or not, as far as collecting a lien. And the Gemara brought in the issue of agav, and the Gemara seems to say that it's also interdependent. But if you hold that it's like karka, you can do kinyan agav with it. If you hold not, it's like without and you cannot. The Gemara seemingly brought a price that argues. I'm not focused about the subject, but the Gemara got out of it two ways: either to say that everybody holds that as karka, but someone kind of holds that by agav, you have to have a kind of a karka the loan ID. It has to be stationary, and similar to Orim and Source Behuda, the place where you learn out the source of Kinyan Agav. It's talking about stationary karka, so it doesn't help. The Eved is karka; it has to be stationary karka, and he's not. But as far as lien, it would be a good lien. You would be able to make a lien and collect from the Lekuchas and the Yisomim. And the other way to reconcile is everybody holds that it's metaltalim, and it's not a good. The lien doesn't carry on. And the reason why it says over here that you can be kona metaltalim together with the Eved, it's not because of Kinyan Agav; it's because of Kinyan Chatzar, and dafke if it's he's tied up, that he's not a portable chatzar. The Gemara is a kasha now, second wide line. Batanya hifzik b'karka kana abadim. Hifzik b'karka kana abadim. That seems to be a contradiction. Gemara is asking a contradiction between this brisa that we put in parentheses and another brisa which we didn't have yet. If you want to be kona karka and abadim, and you're making a kinyan on the karka, can you be kona abadim? We had a problem before. We still didn't find anybody talks about it, but this brisa, even though if it did hold that abadim are considered metaltalim, so it's considered metaltalim. So how come making a kinyan of the karka doesn't help for the abadim? Why not? So the Gemara doesn't ask the kasha. The Gemara asks the stira in two brises, just to get maybe how can we do this? Put these two together, make some kind of color. What color can we use? Also the yellow one, the same as it's going to be opposite. Here it says
You're saying we're having a steer.
a stira and two brises. This brise, one brise we had already before, and then a new brise that we didn't have yet.
Okay.
And just to notice the yellow, they seem to say the opposite. Here it says Hifzik b'karka lo kana avadim, and here it says Hifzik b'karka kana avadim.
I see.
So the whole, maybe it has something to do with the subject about if it's just a little talking or not.
Up to now, we did say that it's kana, but the karka is kana.
We said it's not. If you look on the yellow over here, this is the only time that it was mentioned about being karka kana avadim. We were emphasizing the opposite case. Hifzik b'avadim kana metatlam or not. But this case, the karkos lo kana avadim. And this brisa now on the second white line says it's a karka kana avadim. Now, is it dependent on the machlokas about if ever it's considered karka or not? That if it's considered metaltalim, then you should be able to. If it's considered karka, then maybe you should not be able to. But the Gemara doesn't ask the kasha. We had a kasha before internally that if the rice over here means that the ebed is like metaltalim, the fact that you see hifzik b'vadim lo kana metaltalim, so then how come over here hifzik b'karka lo kana? That was the kasha from the brisa internally. The Gemara doesn't ask that. The Gemara is asking kasha from the next brisa. Hifzik b'karka kana. So the Gemara answers, Hasam ba'omdim b'sofa. We're gonna reconcile the two prices. Is the Ebed inside the karka? Is he standing inside the karka?
Ah,
Which because we don't understand yet. What does it make a difference if he's standing in the karka or not? What would you say? What would be the difference if the Ebed is in the karka?
Because you'd say anything that's in the land.
Because of similar to Kinyan Chutz, like the Gemara said a
right,
second
just
ago.
like he's wearing the watch.
Before we spoke about the Ebed being the karka, so to
Right.
speak, and being the chutzah, and the watch is on top of the chutzah. And now we're talking about the Ebed is the thing that's being nikna because he's a chutzah inside. Does this have to do if he's metaltalim or not?
No,
Even if he's karka, can be kona with being inside the chutzah? I don't know. I don't know enough yet. You can't. So it's karka, kona karka. So we're gonna get the Gemara's gonna talk about it. The Gemara's gonna talk about it soon. But what is the Gemara doing to reconcile the brisa if the karka is kona avodim or not? It says it's only to reconcile the brises. That if the Eved is inside the karka, then he can be kona him. And the other brisa that says that it doesn't work, is that the Eved is not inside the karka, and that's supposed to reconcile the two brises. Now to go back, we just finished talking about that this brisa over here, this whole brisa, we had. Well, I'm making it yellow. I don't mean to do that, Dafka, but we just had two pshatim, two versions in Avika Breda, Rav Idi. If they're both to make a sound, the two prices, if they both of them hold Evers like Kaka, Evers like Metaltalim, and now the Gemara is going to bring that again. Now the Gemara is going to analyze it according to what we spoke about before. So now the Gemara says, Hanicha, third white line. Hanicha lachnish adamar Avika Breda Avami Avdi Metaltalim Dami. The second terrace of the second version said that both brisa holds like that the Evers like Metaltalim, which means that's how we originally learned this brisa. The Evers like Metaltalim, and therefore Avodim lo kana metaltalim because Evers like metaltalim, and over here karka is not kona avodim. Eved is metaltalim, and the karka, but he's outside. He's outside, and the Gemara seems to be happy that it only works if it's inside, and that we didn't talk about yet. And I've this said the opposite, that Kinyan Agav works even if the metaltalim is not going to be inside the karka. It doesn't have to be on. It could be someplace else. You have a karka and your table, and the table is not on the karka, and you're making a kinyan on the karka, you can be coming to the table, and if this is right, and the Gemara is gonna come back to it. But right now, the Gemara makes believe that in order to do kinyan agav, it has to be in the karka, and therefore, even though the Eved is like metaltalim, and that would reconcile this price over here. The price said before we had an internal problem that it says that was more as proof that it was like metaltalim. And the same price that says that was like metaltalim. Why not? So the Gemara says because kinyan agav has to be on the karka. In this case, the Eved was not on the karka.
Yeah, but what do you do with our lessons?
We're putting it on hold. Is it good?
we're just focusing on one aspect.
I'll be back.
On this aspect that we're saying that the reason why you're not going to the bottom, even though like metaltalim, is because it's not on the karka. The problem is going to be that the whole Brisa talks about that like the next case, isn't talking about that it's on the karka or not. The price has to be consistent. If this case we say it's not good because the evidence is not on the karka, so other cases also is talking about it's not on the karka and still it is good. Means they more didn't finish explaining yet because
You can't say
the price is talking about that it's
this
not.
is no good because it's not, and this is good because it's on.
That's not being consistent, right? Because you say avodim is not good, metaltalim is good. Both of them are good if they're on. Both of them are not good if they're not on. So that's not a good shot. But the Gemara is going to take it slow. First, the Gemara says the difference is if it's on or not, and that would fit if you hold like third line. Okay, they changed the case of problem. If you say the second version of Idi, that both prices also have to keep dummy, so then I could explain. Then I could swallow what you're saying, that there's a difference if it's on the karka or not, because Kinyan Agav only works if it's on the karka.
We're saying that they are like Metaltalin.
So like metaltalin, and that's how we thought originally this brisa meant. We had it in blue. Hislik b'avadim lo kana metaltalin because that's like metaltalin. And how come b'kaka lo kana avadim? Because it's like metaltalin, but it's not on.
Okay, and we're not looking at that rest of that brisa.
We're looking at you know the part that says that
Yeah,
it is
yeah.
good, right? We're not looking at that,
No.
right? And the other way, the first version was to say that every price, both prices hold avdikim dami, and it's like karka. And the Gemara doesn't understand it. If it was like karka, well, first of all, and how do we explain before? Just to go back a second, if you hold that it's like karka, how come it's like because you have to have or Yehuda, that it's like karka, but for Kinyan Agav, you have to have stationary karka. That's how the Gemara explained. That was the first version.
Yeah.
But if it's like karka, so how come karka lo kana avadim? Even if it's not over the sofa, the Gemara here is now bringing in could karka be kona karka. We didn't talk about it too much. We were just pushing it off the whole time. Here the Gemara is waking it up. Could karka be kona karka? So agav means karka is kona matalton. Could karka be kona karka? So now the Gemara is going to say yes, and it doesn't even have to be next to each other. It can't be. It doesn't even have to be adjacent. It doesn't even have to be adjacent. So that's the most kasha. So how can you reconcile the brisa by saying that the avodim are not in the karka and that's why you're not kona? What's the difference if it's standing inside or not? Someone sold to somebody else 10 pieces of land in 10 different countries. He owns one in one country, one in another country. City, the dinos, okay. Provinces, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't make a difference wherever it is in the world. You could be kona. You make a kinyan on one and you kona the other one, even though how's that? The Gemara is going to say soon, but it works. And therefore, the Gemara says, if ever is like karka, then I don't care where he is. He could be off the karka also. You make a kinyan on the karka, it could be kona other karka.
Yeah.
So it doesn't help by explaining that it's not on. But the Gemara says, you're fooling me the whole time. He said a second ago, this is what we said, that you're telling me that if it's kinyan chaser, then if it's kinyan agav, I'm sorry. If it's kinyan agav, then it does have to be on top. And you're happy according to him that it doesn't have to be. Like the Gemara said, Hanicha. The Gemara said in the third line, Hanicha, if you hold that from Taflim, then I understand that it has to be dafka on. That's not true. What do you have to have it should be on top in the karka? Amr base. Kaim alone to low on Siburin. We hold that by Agav, like this is what Abin said, that you don't have to be that it should be piled in on the karka. The word Siburin means to be piled on, which we call it like Roman Vasocha, that the metaltalin does not have to be on the karka. You could sell them karka, and Agav that you could give them also metaltalin, even though it's not there. So Manav Shacha doesn't make sense. The Brisa doesn't make sense either way, because both for Kenyan Agav and for karka being kona karka, it doesn't have to be on it or adjacent to it. So the Brisa doesn't. This whole text is saying, "Well, Odin Masocha doesn't make sense." To Kinyan Chotzer, that's true. Kinyan Chotzer, the thing has to be inside the Chotzer. That's what the more spoke about the metaltalin being on top of the Eved. That it'll be kona with Kinyan Chotzer. Maybe if he's tied up, it's true. Of course, over there it has to be inside on him. But you talk about Agav, or you talk about karka being kona karka, it doesn't have to be inside. So how can you reconcile the Brisa? It means, I think we're getting back to the question that was in the parentheses the whole time, that the Brisa is saying, no matter how you can explain the Brisa, the karka lo kana badim, if it's like karka or it's like metaltalin, it doesn't make sense. This sentence in the yellow over here in the parentheses,
If it's metaltalin.
if it's metaltalin, so it should be Agav.
Doesn't have to be in it.
Right. So either way, this doesn't make sense. I think that's what the Gemara is boiling it down to. And how the Gemara says, I know now we got the terrorists. Here goes the terrorists now. What must you say? You who said that's you were happy a second ago. You said that's metaltalin, then it goes together with Agav and everything's fine. And has to be inside. There's a difference if it's a kind of metaltalin that moves or doesn't move. Means if it has, of course, any metaltalin by portables means that it can move, but does it move on its own? Does it have its own feet? So you have to say that even though Kinyan Agav doesn't usually have to be on the karka, if you have a table, you don't have to put it on the karka in order to be Kinyan Agav. But if it has its own feet, it's 90, then you do have to put it on the karka.
Tie it up. And then we talk about tying it up.
No, you're talking about Kinyan Chotzer. We're not talking about Kinyan Chotzer. We're talking about Kinyan Agav. And Kinyan Agav, usually you can be kona the karka and automatically be kona the metaltalin, even though it's not on. but it says that if it's a kind of metaltalin that can walk by itself, which probably refers to an animal also. An animal also can walk by itself. So then you can't be kona only if it's on. You wouldn't be kona a table or furniture. You could be kona that even if it's not on the karka. But if you want to be kona something that moves, like an animal or a human being, it has to be on it. And therefore, therefore, I can say my child also, and I'm talking about. I said that it's considered karka, and usually to become a karka, you don't have to be adjacent in order to make a kinyan on one karka. You can become automatically karka in a different country also, but that's only when it's not a kind of karka that doesn't move. But this karka moves. This evet is considered karka that moves, and to become a karka that moves, you have to be together. Avda animals are not karka. Animals, but evet, only kind of karka that moves is only an evet, and therefore it has to. Animals are not karka. The question is only an evet. Also, it's only about an evet. Avda mekarkoy then I do. Evet is a full karka. Hasam sada dara over there. You want to be calling different 10 pieces of land in different places over there. Sadna dara chadu. I don't know what the word sadna means literally. What does sadna mean? Anybody?
What is Sidma?
Some type of presentation, I think.
Right,
I don't
usually
think
it's,
that-
usually it's a kind of
A workshop, yeah.
A
thanks.
workshop? No, that's what.
Well, it's not a bridge, it's Aramaic, it's one hole.
Southern.
Sadan is what we.
Oh, I have English
Arm
comments,
Smith
it's
makes.
opposite.
The anvil. But here it doesn't fit so well.
But
One
W
piece, but one mass.
we're on the Yud Beit Amud Beit.
So what are we saying here?
That to reconcile the answer is right. This price is a problem on its own. No matter how you learn, this line doesn't make sense. How come Bekaka Lokana Abadim? Whatever you're going to say Abadim is, if Abadim is Metal it shouldn't make sense. And if Abadim is like Kaka, it shouldn't make sense.
This last line isn't an answer to that.
So it is an answer.
The answer is.
That no matter whatever you're going to say, since it's portable, it has some chumrah. If Abadim is like Metaltalim, and you're being kona with Agav, even though usually Agav works that the Metaltalim is not in the karka, it's good enough. But here, the Abadim has to be inside the karka. This price that we said.
It has to be attached. That answer was Sadna would somehow be attached.
No, that's talking about karka. When you karka, you can be going to different places. I could sell you a piece of land here and in China, and I make because they're connected. They're all connected. All the earth, all the planet Earth is connected. So I make a kinyan over here. It can become something else someplace else. But Evid,
something that moves is
even
not like.
Right, and therefore, when you're calling karka, you want to become other karka, it has to be dafka inside of it. That's if you hold that evid's considered karka. Before we said we had two pshatim before, and if you hold that the evid's considered metaltalim, which is more thought originally, so then what are we going to say? That is metaltalim, and you become and you should be able to become with kinyan agav, but over here you can't because it's movable, and it's only going to work if it's inside the karka. And that's the other price. The most reconciled other price says sometimes you are, but saying that if it's inside, then you are calling.
Sadnadari says the mass of Earth is a single entity.
Mass. Okay, it doesn't say the proofs of the word. The word means a mass. Okay, well, mass of Earth is one. So we finish this again. And
the whole world. All the world is connected.
All the world is connected.
Right.
That's the end of the sugya. What do? We had the sixth cruise of Ulam of Elazar, and it said of Ebez like Karka, and we don't pass like him. We don't pass like Ulam of Elazar, we pass like of Nachman, that Ebez like Ebez is considered Metaltalim as far as Agamor goes, as far as Kinyan Agam, and as far as Ashibud, that you cannot collect from the Yasmin.
So why do they why do they give the evidence? Or why do they allow the guy to collect it?
No, if Nachman will take it back, and if you don't, I'll take away your mention. They held like a Belazar, but he said no, they're wrong, and he brought a raya. The Gemara answers his raya. Means the Gemara said I could explain your brisa also, even though you brought a brisa. I think the Gemara said you could explain it. He didn't go on his brisa. Did he? Said Lemi Katanoi, and said the Gemara said at the end maybe no. His brisa probably is good still. Again, this I didn't know. I didn't think about this. He brought a brisa that proves b'chala in achalal abadim, metaltam nikin makakaben nikin abadim. Can we get out of this kasha? The Gemara got out of the other brisa. The Gemara got out of the brisa that kind of metaltam. But there the Gemara said that you can say that it's metaltalim, and the case over there is that it is inside the Odan Allah, like it works with Kenyan.
The principal part works, right? Because the
You
principal.
see that's metaltalin. From principle, you see that's like metaltalin, right?
That's good for him.
That's good for Rabbi Nachman. Is there and is there way to disprove it?
Trizlul.
Metaltalin, it says ein niknem amavadim, and from there, Nachman would write that it's considered metaltalin. I just want to think a second if it's possible to refute this proof, because before when the Gemara said a proof that hifsik avadim lo kana metaltalin, which was the same idea as Rav Nachman said that's considered metaltalin, the Gemara rejected it by saying that really it's karka, and the reason why it's not ton is because you have to have orim Yehuda. So that also would disprove his raya. They refute that refutation that the Gemara said on the next brisa is also on his brisa. The metaltalin is niknem karka, but they niknem avadim because the avadim is not orim Yehuda. It's not a stationary kind of a karka. So maybe we could refute his proof. But there must be a person like him. Maybe it also has to do with the principle. You see that evidence instead of metaltalin. So as far as I just want in my notes that Psak is like Rav Nachman, that if someone made had a loan and he had an eved and he died, the malva cannot collect from the eved because the eved is considered metaltalin. As far as shibud, and also as far as Kenyan Agav, also the eved is considered metaltalin. And even though regular agav, the metaltalin doesn't have to be on the karka, here it does have to because it's a kind of metaltalin which is 90, which is moves. Okay, hope that was good.
Okay,
Thank you.
done?
Yeah.
Until the
At the end, we said because it's carpet.
The Gemara explains it both ways. The Gemara says the Brisa can explain either way. But as far as the Allah, I'm just saying the Allah now.
But isn't an animal as we call it? Oh, and that also has to be on the land?
As far as Kenyan Agav, I would think so.
When you buy the land, you want to buy the sheep with it.
And maybe since it moved, maybe it has to be on the land. According to that terrace that the Gemara said that even Kenyan, even though being in Siburin, you don't have to have that it should be on the land. But here the Gemara says that if it moves, you do have to. So I'm not sure if it's like that, but I'd have to check it out.
Let's see, going again?
Piled up means that it's on the land. Says Kenyan Agav that you don't have to have that it should be on. If it's able to move on its own, like an eved or like an animal, maybe you have to have that it should be on the land. Okay. That's
Good.
So they're about. Then David, you see a little about that, yeah?